Welcome back to the Mind, Body, Spirit podcast. I am your host, Coach Jordan, and it's been a while since I've shot one of these episodes. So welcome back. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be back here with you. And I'm just going to get you caught up on what's been going on in my life and training journey since my last episode in March. Essentially, the beginning of this year, 2023, I gained about 9.5, 10 pounds of lean mass, according to a Fit3D body scans that I ran, a couple times throughout that phase. And I decided, I want to tap into this muscle mass. I want to be able to use it to gain a lot of strength and not necessarily, gain any more muscle mass right now. I just wanted to be able to tap into all of it very, very efficiently. So I thought, what better way to do that than starting a powerlifting program, a full-on cycle of powerlifting programming. And that's something that I've not done in many years. It's been a long time since I bench pressed over 200 pounds, since I squatted over 300 pounds, since I deadlifted. Well, I've actually never focused on my deadlift like this. So I've never actually ran a true all-out powerlifting cycle before on all three lifts. And I actually decided to incorporate a fourth lift with overhead press. And it was a lot of fun. It went extremely well. I ended seeing where my strength was with the new 9.5 to 10 pounds of lean mass, I was able to figure out that, hey, bench press is around 215, got that as my 1 rep max. Back squat was 330 pounds, which is cool. I think I could probably go heavier, but I want to make sure my form is good. And then my deadlift was 350, and that felt really, really nice, and I could probably go heavier than that. But again, time to move on to something new. My knees started to ache a little bit in the last couple weeks of the program. I was doing a lot of 1 rep maxing. It's time to shift gears. So I'm no longer doing powerlifting as of last week. I decided to go more into just some different training that I haven't done in a while. So I'm doing a lot of body weight training right now, a lot of bands stuff, a lot of mobility, pull-ups, push-ups, TRX work, unilateral and isometric work. So, and I'm finding that my knee pain is getting better. I just also finding that I'm getting good pumps, whereas like when you're powerlifting, you have 3 to 5 minute rest periods. You don't get as many pumps. Every once in a while you do. Soreness is a little higher than it was when I was powerlifting. I only got sore when I was powerlifting in that whole 12-week program when I would PR, like hit a new max. So if I for the first time in a long time hit 210 on bench press, my triceps got pretty sore. When I hit 215 on the last week of powerlifting just a couple weeks ago, I felt like my traps actually got a little sore. There's times when I chest flied on a stability ball really heavy, and my chest got a little a tad bit sore, but not bad, because I was able to go from using 15-pound dumbbells to using 40-pound dumbbells. So pretty cool for being able to just push heavier weight all around. Primarily focusing on just 4 lifts with a couple accessory moves. And you might be thinking, Jordan, I don't know what powerlifting training really consists of, and so what the 4 lifts you're talking about and the accessory, what makes an accessory move? So I thought, hey, why not explain that today and dive into that a little bit, since I'm just fresh out of it. And I had a lot of success doing it. And if you're someone kind of like me who's worked out consistently for at least a year plus, you've never done a powerlifting cycle, and you want to feel strong and you want to also tap into newbie gains again, I think it's a great way to go, so long as you check your ego out the door and stick to the game plan. What I think really makes powerlifting, running a powerlifting cycle really beneficial, and it's a hallmark of, I think, powerlifting and Olympic lifting, is things are calculated and well planned. So I started the program coming out of a bodybuilding program where I was, again, feeling a lot of volume, a lot of supersetting, sets, reps. My wrists, my elbow, a little bit, I had my right arm is getting slightly bigger than my left arm, and I was getting some elbow, and not elbow tightness, but it was my forearm tightness. It was a little bit of pain there associated with bicep curls. I fixed that immediately when I switched to powerlifting, because I had an intro phase, and the intro phase was just getting into lifting a heavy 8 rep max to kind of from there set my base strength. because I didn't know what my 1 rep max would be. I didn't know what goal to shoot for. I didn't have any goals actually going into the powerlifting program. I just wanted to do something different. So I executed the plan, which was intro phase, 8 to 12 reps, go as heavy as you can for 8 reps. It was a 4-week intro phase, and each week I added more sets and I added more intensity. So like the first week, it was just like get used to the lifts. Second week, it was, hey, add extra sets and go heavier. And then the third week, it was add another set and go even heavier. And then the last week was, hey, go as heavy as you can for 8 reps and use that score on your 4 major lifts for me and to calculate your next 6 weeks of training. And so everything was planned after that for 6 weeks, exactly the lifts I would do and when I would do them. That is what makes it very different than bodybuilding. It's more subjective, like, oh, I feel like this is an RPE of 1 to 10, RPE being a rate perceived exertion. I want the RPE to be as high as I can, or hit failure on this lift or not hit failure on this lift, right? Depending on the day and the strategy. In powerlifting, it's like, nope, you're gonna get your 8 rep max, and then we're gonna go into a strength phase where we purposely do, 70% of what you can do. So we take a weight that you can handle, but it is heavy-ish, and you do it for, maybe you can lift 70% of your 1 rep max for 8 reps, but we now do it for 3 reps, and you focus on locking in your form and doing lots of sets with lots of rest in between. So instead of doing like 60-second rest periods like I was doing when I was bodybuilding, I was doing a minimum of 3-minute rest periods. To a lot of times when I started to get good at powerlifting, I had to take a full 5 minutes between sets to make sure I came in fresh and was able to do, go all out on that next set. Even though that next set was like 3 reps or 2 reps, or at the end of my program, sets of 1, which those were, had to come in fresh for each of those sets of 1 to be able to really do them. What I would do in order to that would be like, hey, 1 week of moderate sets, like 3 to 4 sets of each exercise, the bench press, the deadlift, the overhead press, and my squat. I almost forgot the 4th lift, the squat, very important lift. And we have those, it was like 4 sets of 3 sets of 3 on the deadlift, 4 sets of 3 on everything else at like 80%, 75 to 85% of what I could do, and just getting good at that. And it was heavier than I had been doing in the bodybuilding program, because the bodybuilding program didn't allow me to lift that heavy because I wasn't able to rest as much. And then from week 2, I immediately jump up in weights on everything, and the rep ranges change. Instead of doing, 4 sets, I was then doing 6 sets of 2 reps on bench press, on squat. Instead of 3 sets of 3 reps on deadlift, I was doing 4 sets of 2 reps on deadlift, and the weights were heavier as a result. And so I was getting better at pushing more max lifts. And then week 3, I would take whatever scores I got for my heavy 2s and make those heavy 3s. So heavy doubles turned into heavy triples. An example, if I was bench pressing 185 for a double, the goal in week 3 would be to take my 185 for a double and make that 185 a triple in week 3. And then week 4, I would just repeat that process again. So week 4, I go back to doing, instead of a triple, it would be 5s. So I would be doing a heavy set of 5 at like 75 to 85%. And then I would, from there, do doubles. And instead of it being 6x2, it was like 5x2 or 4x2, depending on the lift, just because I'm trying to, as I'm getting used to lifting heavier, I'm also trying to do less damage to my body so that when I get to the end of the program, I don't feel beat up and I can still 1 rep max. And then in week 6, I would take those heavy doubles and turn them into the same weight but triples, so heavy triples, and a PR. Like I've never hit that weight for a triple before, hit it for a double the week before, but not for a triple, so therefore I'm stronger. And then, so I did 2 cycles like that of strength, so 6 weeks of pure strength, a lot of fun. That's my favorite part of the program. I could probably do that forever. And then I went into peak week. Peak week was 3 weeks long for me. First week of peak week, I was tired because I was hitting all 3 lifts on the same days. During my strength phase, I had a back squat day, a bench press day, an overhead press day, and a deadlift day, and I trained 4 days a week. each workout was like 45 minutes to an hour long. During my peak week, there was 3 days working out. So I had 3 days on and the rest of the week off. I had back squats, bench press, and deadlift on Mondays. I had back squats again and bench press again on like Wednesday in the middle of the week. And then on Saturday, I had back squat, bench press, and deadlift again. So I was going heavy on those two. First week, not as heavy. Second week, heavier. Third week, very heavy. And the goal was just to PR everything. Everything besides the overhead press. The overhead press I focused on a lot during the strength phase, but I PR'd that essentially on the last week of the strength phase with a heavy triple at 135, and I was excited about that. But I didn't do necessarily 1 rep maxing for overhead pressing. I just focused on the big 3. Why? Because in the back of my mind, there's this thing that would be a cool goal, being able to take the big 3, the deadlift, the back squat, the bench press, and to do 1,000 pounds across the 3 lifts. My current score with the 350 deadlift, 330 back squat, and 215 bench press is a little shy of 900. So I'm almost there. I'm gonna run now, like a phase is focused on longevity and health. As I talked about before, I'm doing more TRX work, bodyweight work, and banded work, and a lot of mobility and unilateral work right now for the next 8 weeks. I'll be doing that. And then I'm gonna go into another bodybuilding program because it worked so well the first time. Hopefully gain another 9 pounds of lean mass. I'll take it if I can. And then the start of 2024, January 2024, New Year's resolution will be to run that powerlifting program again, another cycle of powerlifting, starting at the strength that I am at now. So I know my aggregate score right now is 895, something like that. And I'm pretty sure I can add maybe another 50 pounds to my deadlift and get that to 400. I'm pretty sure I can add maybe another 50 pounds to my back squat. And if I did that, I would only need to add 5 pounds to my bench press to hit the 1,000 mark. So yeah, I think it's attainable to hit that 1,000 pound club next year in the beginning, by March, pretty much. By the end of March, I should be in the 1,000 pound club if everything goes according to plan. So that's what I'm working on right now when it comes to my own training. On one of these podcast episodes, I don't think I've ever picked apart my own training and what I was doing and shared it with you guys. So I thought, especially since I haven't been on here for a while, I'll just clue you in on what's been going on. Other things outside of training that have been going on, and just my son is now 10 months old. He's saying dad, that's what he calls me, or he says dad. He says mamãe, which is Portuguese for mom. He says vovô, which is Portuguese for grandpa. He says vovó, Portuguese for grandma. And he says agua sometimes. He doesn't say it all the time, but he's been saying it lately. So I think he knows 5 words total. Walking with assistance. He should be walking here pretty soon. I feel like his leg strength is pretty impeccable. He's able to balance by himself, get up by himself. He's been doing that for a while now. Very active, very talkative. Last night, he started fake reading a book because he can't really read a book yet, and he only knows 5 words. But he would put his head down into the little book and put his fingers on the pictures, and gibberish would come out, and then he'd look up at me and Priscilla and clap because he's been going to the library here in Bellevue. And at the library, they have a librarian that reads to all the kids, and they have a baby reading time, a couple times per week. And he goes there. He loves to go there. It's like one of his favorite things to do. And he listens to the stories. He claps, when she's done with the story. And so he's learned that this lady reads, and I clap for her, and we all clap for her, and it's a cool thing that she reads. And I love the stories, is what Lucas thinks. And then so now he's doing it with us at the house. He's pulling out books, pretending to read them, and stopping and getting that recognition from us and clapping. And it's the cutest thing. So that's what's going on outside of training right now. And I also plan to be shooting more of these podcasts. I shot 9 podcasts last year. I want to make sure I get at least 1 more than 9 this year. So 10 podcasts in this year, if not more. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Mind, Body, Spirit podcast, for spending time with me. If you enjoyed this episode today, feel free to just hit the follow button, and if you want to, leave a review. Appreciate feedback, reviews. You can always send me a message too. If you want to give me some questions and things that I could answer in a podcast episode, or if you want to be on the podcast episode with me, we can have a conversation back and forth. That's always cool too. Again, thanks for being here. God bless, and I'll catch you in the next one.